Is Isaiah Martin joining?
Hi, good morning, Kimberly. I all of the here. Mr. Slater will join us momentarily. Can you please begin? Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us at this virtual town hall meeting. We're gathered here for meaningful conversations surrounding the redistricting initiative. This is not a platform for anybody to campaign, but show the unity surrounding the issues that have come up. This town hall will feature Carmen Montreal, Dominique Payton, Zoe Cardor, Ebony Rain Eaton, Mr. Rob Slater, and Isaiah Martin. We're going to start with Ms. Zoe Cador. She has 3 minutes to speak about the redistricting, how that affects the people, and her thoughts. Go ahead, Ms. Zoe.
Thank you all so much, and thank you to the organizers of this event. My name is Zoe Cador, and I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who has spent 15 years working in Washington, D.C., working with members of Congress in states that have gone through what we are getting ready to go through again, because we just had a redistricting in 2021. And we're going to have a lot of conversation around why this is or how this is happening. What I want to focus on is the why I think this is happening. So right now, we just saw the passage of a very harmful reconciliation bill. It was very unpopular. This came out of President Trump's administration. And then shortly after, he gave the directive to Governor Abbott to redistrict the state of Texas and target 4 minority districts, including Congressional District 18, where most of us are running, along with Congressman Al Green's district, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, and Congressman Mark Vesey out of Dallas. And so one of the reasons why I think he is doing this is because on August 1st, he is also getting ready to announce the increase of tariffs on goods and pharmaceuticals, which impacts our grocery stores, basic drugs and needs that we need to get for our families and ourselves to be able to remain healthy. And this is going to cause an uproar amongst the American people. Another thing that's getting ready to happen is the midterm elections in November 2026. And when you have a president that has unpopular policies, it is more likely that they are going to lose at least one branch of the government, this being the House of Representatives. And so we Democrats are pushing to make sure that we are able to flip the House back so that there is a balance of power in Washington, D.C., because currently the House, the Senate, and the White House are all controlled by President Trump, which basically creates a very, very small line of defense from the Democratic side. And so with these unpopular policies continuously coming out of this administration, and now with these tariffs getting ready to be imposed that are also going to be unpopular, but also very harmful to people all across America, you have to ask yourselves, okay, well, what are the Republicans going to do next? Because now they realize that people have actual things to go to the voting booth about. And what I believe that will be is the fact that this country is about to be very unaffordable. And so as a result, they look to states like Texas and say, well, where can we pick up some seats? So in Texas, because we have had an enormous amount of growth, and a lot of that growth has been minority, we have had majority African Americans and Latinos that have moved to this state over the last couple of years. You now have an opportunity, if we are voting, to really be able to start to reshape what Texas politics looks like. And so this is an attack on us because they see, one, we actually do not vote as much as we need to. And so even if people are upset, their voting power is not going to reflect their feelings. Two, if you are able to redistrict and split up the coalitions of African Americans and Latinos throughout this district, then you will be able to pick up a couple of Republican seats and even potentially flip some traditionally Democratic areas. And so we have to be very mindful of this. And as they are going through this redistricting that is going to start next week in the Texas session, we need to be arming ourselves, and we need to make sure that, one, everyone is being registered to vote, because if and when they do redistrict these seats, the biggest thing for us is that we are coming out to the polls and we are making our voices heard. So the last thing I will say is on November 4th, we have an election for one of the districts that is being attacked. That is the Congressional District 18. And we need to make sure that if you live in CD 18, that you and everyone you know is registered to vote. Because right now, Democrats are being largely outvoted in this state. and they are being largely outvoted in our major cities. And that cannot continue to happen if we are going to maintain any type of power. And so I am pleading with everyone to please vote, please educate yourself on this race, and please make sure that we are arming ourselves in the best way possible, and that is with our voting power. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will put my email in the chat. I'm going to have to hop off for another event in a few, but thank you all so much for being here, for being engaged, and for caring. And thank you guys again for creating this platform.
Before Ms. Carmen speaks, thank you, Zoe Cardor, for your passionate stance. I want to reiterate again that this platform is nonpartisan. We're talking about gerrymandering and what that means, because I want to put some information out there. Redistricting happens. It usually happens around every 10 years when the census is done. So redistricting in and of itself is not new. However, the way that it's being done is called gerrymandering, which means it disenfranchises a certain culture or a people. And so I want to make sure that we're sticking to that. This is not an attack on the President of the United States and what's happening. This is also meant to encourage the constituents to educate and vote. And this platform today is about educating them about what gerrymandering is versus redistricting, because those are, even though redistricting happens amongst gerrymandering political games, redistricting happens. So it's not new. Just the way that it's happening is what we want the constituents to, because District 18 is more vulnerable because we don't have representation currently to hear the voices of the constituents. So I want to move forward, and I want everybody to move forward with that in mind. This platform is meant to be nonpartisan. We don't want to talk about one candidate or this administration's harmful motives. We just want to educate. And this is the opportunity to show what side of the line you're on when it comes to what is currently happening in the state of Texas with gerrymandering.
Ms. Kimberly, can I make one point, please? I just want to be very clear. I do see this as a partisan issue because this is not Democrats asking the governor of Texas to redistrict. This is a Republican president asking our Republican governor to redistrict, and they are only attacking Democratic seats. So in order to make sure people are educated, they need to understand this is an attack on Democrats. This is an attack on our democracy. This is not a nonpartisan issue. This is also not a normal course for PAR. Redistricting happens every 10 years. We just had redistricting. So what they're doing right now, this is out of normal. This is out of the normal order, and this is a partisan issue. And I just want to be
3 minutes more.
So I don't mean to interrupt you, but again, the instructions that I received was this is to be a nonpartisan. So we're not here. We're here because we have Republicans here as well. This is here to say what is happening, why it's happening, and what side of the ball you're on and why. It's meant really to educate. We get enough outside of this platform of, the harmful policies of President Trump or this administration. Everybody, this is America. We're here to get information in a way that the constituents can hear and encourage them to vote however their vote is. That's all. I'm just clear out what the instructions I've been given to moderate this platform. Mr. Rob, do you have something to say at this moment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then again, I thank Ms. Cardor for your voice and the work you're doing and the information brought to this platform. Ms. Carmen, you are up next.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Kimberly, for making clear what are the rules of this game. I'm here to participate as a Republican candidate in this topic. At no point I will say I in a unified issue, because we are all in different standings. We all have different standings in this issue. For me, first of all, I do not agree with gerrymandering. I think gerrymandering does not serve the people. It interferes with democracy. That's my first point. My second point is I do agree with this redistricting because, as is mentioned when it was called, that this redistricting has been illegal. And what happened was when the redistricting happened after 2020 and District 18 was going to be left vacant because it's now 48% Latino, and Sheila Jackson Lee was going to be sent to head. Al Green, the both of them were going to be moved to District 9. They drove to Austin and have an epic presentation over there in which she was put back into District 18. What is happening here is Latinos has been disenfranchised in the city of Houston and Harris County. That's a reality. We are the minority in Harris County and the city of Houston, and we are not represented. I want also to take away the topic of racial calling into this topic when they say this is an issue about Blacks and brown. No, this is not an issue about Blacks and brown because Latinos, we come in all the colors. I'm just tired that the Democrats try to put us in a box and they say we're brown. No, we Latinos are white, black, brown in all the colors.
Carmen, let me interrupt you again. Can we stick to you're doing well. We appreciate the information and the education coming from you. However, we want to stick to what is wrong. You don't agree with gerrymandering. Can we educate what gerrymandering is? We don't want to make it political. This platform is to bring unity, not necessarily on agreeing about what's happening now with redistricting, but saying in unity, we want to educate the constituents, Black, brown, or indifferent, because everybody, Black, brown, or indifferent, live in District 18, as you pointed out. It's just not one color. So can we just stick to why it's harmful to the constituents or why it's not harmful to the
And Miss Kim, if I may add, if it's okay, if we could go ahead and let Miss Carmen go,
Yeah.
Because we really want to see how they really feel, if you don't mind. Go ahead, unmute her.
Issue. And I'm tired of being put in a box as a Latina. So that's what I'm saying. And I will repeat and close with this. I'm against gerrymandering. I'm completely for this redistricting that it was sabotaged in 2020 by Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green. So I think it is time we get a district that completely is already majoritarily Latino. It's 48%, but nobody talks about it and nobody wants to realize that this district, the majority of the people in district are Latinos. So I hope that with the new redistricting, we stop being disenfranchised and we Latinos get more representation in the city of Houston and Harris County. And that's what I have to say for this. I'm all for it, this redistricting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, Ms. Carmen, you are not for gerrymandering, but you are for this particular redistricting.
Yes, because it was completely sabotaged by Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green in 2021. So we should get the right district now.
Okay. I have Dominique next, but if you don't mind, I would like Rain Eatman to go next.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really want to take an opportunity to thank the Culture Commission for taking the time to create this learning space and allowing candidates to come together and educate our community on the recent moves of our leadership. I want to be as clear as I possibly can. Governor Greg Abbott's decision to include redistricting on a 30-day special session, a month-long special session with an agenda that was already approved, was a political move, transparently, bar none. This was already an agenda that was agreed upon to tackle specific topics, including the floods in Hill Country. It was going to tackle issues around THC. It was also going to tackle issues around regarding school voucher programs. So for this unprompted investigation from the Department of Justice to insinuate that the redistricting done in 2021 was done unconstitutionally amidst a special election shows that there is some form of prejudice against this district. Furthermore, we have on record from our leadership, from our president, stating that he intends to gain additional seats from the Republican Party. This was showcased on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. Without prejudice, he explicitly stated that he wants to have this conversation not only to address any unconstitutionality of the 2021 redistricting that was done after the census, but he also wanted to ensure that we gained more seats for the Republican Party ahead of the 2026 election. So I want us to be very clear and honest when we are talking about this, because although we are doing our best to have a unified conversation in regards to the illegality of gerrymandering, we have to call a spade and understand that this is a conversation that has always had political undertones. It has always been used at the detriment of all minority communities, Black and Latinos included, and it is something that we as a people need to face head on if we are ever going to create strategies against these tactics. Furthermore, I also want to educate the residents here that this is not the only attack that our county has experienced amidst several elections over the past 30 years. We want to have conversations regarding voter suppression and voter tactics that suppress voices of all kinds, but we don't want to acknowledge the fact that this same administration took the time to reverse policies that actually disenfranchised voters of the working class by discontinuing things like 24-hour voting booths. They also took the time to limit the powers of our elections administration because of certain bylaws they wrote as the majority party. So I do appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation, but we need to address all aspects and all elements, including who are the people that are in power, who are the people who are making these intentional decisions, and how, as we, as the Democratic Party, can take a stand to make sure we are not allowing business to be conducted as usual. The people suffer when we do not call things out as though they are. And if we are continuing to dance around the fact that this is very much partisan driven, we will not be able to make any moves that will be in the benefit of the people. And let me be very clear as well. The Democrats have also taken steps to use gerrymandering for their good as well, and for their benefit as well. Gerrymandering has been happening on both sides because redistricting is inherently political. That being said, the blatant disregard that this administration is doing by speeding up the gerrymandering process and ignoring the 10-year timeline that we abide by in partnership with the Department of Commerce and with the Texas legislature shows that this was not done in good faith, that this was not done with the intention of the people, but this was done to benefit a specific party. So if we are going to have this conversation, I would like us to be bold enough to address the elephant in the room and ensure that we are talking about all sides rather than trying to posture as if everything is normal when it is not. Thank you for the time.
I would like to interfere again as I was completely, my intervention was muted. My intervention was muted and I being reported that they couldn't hear anything.
Hello, Miss Carmen. Miss Carmen, you're going to get your time, but please respectfully just allow the moderator to speak and dictate and give you your time. So please yield and allow her to do it, and we'll honor that thing.
Am I going to have my time back, please?
I just addressed that. If you could let the moderator control that. We acknowledged it. Let her give her a chance.
Because I need to go also. I have other things to do.
Well, you're more welcome to leave, and if you want to give your time back in the statement, that's definitely an option. But I just want to give control to the moderator.
If you're going to mute me, okay, let me what I said. This is why we have a problem. You mute the only Republican sitting here. So this is not trying to agree in issues. Yeah. So I will put a statement of what I said.
No, I got you. I got you. Ms. Carmen, I just don't want, and again, respectfully, because regardless of how you respond and act, I'm gonna have the respect for you, because that's not the case of what happened. We asked you to stop and pause earlier, and you continued. I don't think you recognized and see that the moderator had took control. So it was an honest mistake. And so that's why we're honoring for your time, because you was muted. But we got to take a deep breath. We're giving you the respect. We don't have to accuse of this and that. So I think you do deserve a little bit of time because you were muted, right? And so we just want the moderator who's controlling this conversation to be able to say what she's saying and give it back to you. We can't take it. And that's what we're trying to stop. You can't take the mic. We want to give you that chance respectfully. Ms. Kim?
Ms. Carmen, I wanted to apologize because I didn't know your mic was mute. However, I started to speak to make sure we stayed directed for the purpose of this platform. And so I did offer you time back and you spoke. We heard you, but we're giving you an option to reiterate some of your points. Go ahead.
I want to reiterate that I don't agree to be in part of saying that we are in a unity here as we stand in different positions in the issues. I do not agree with gerrymandering because it has been abused. Like, for example, in Commissioner's Court, Lina Hidalgo completely abused when she redistricted. I agree with this redistricting, which is off season because this redistrict happened in 2021 because it was sabotaged by Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green as this District 18 was going to be left vacant. So I believe we need to have the right district that was supposed to be drawn at the time, and that Latinos need to have more representation as we Latino has been disenfranchised in the city of Houston and Harris County. Also, I would like to say that I'm tired to make Latinos in a color box and put us as brown, as we Latinos come in many different colors. Please call us Latino, but please take the racial issue out of us. And with this, I want to say goodbye as I have other things to attend. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Okay, the next person that we'll hear from is Ms. Dominique. Welcome to the platform, Dominique Payton. We appreciate your time. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. It is a bit chaotic in here, but you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's just put it all out on the table. When it comes to this redistricting and this gerrymandering, we do have to call it for what it is, because if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, that's exactly what it is. And this is a political power move. We see right now what's going on in the 18th Congressional District, how this special session has been called to redistrict these maps. When it comes to a political stance, redistricting is completely legal. But when it comes to racial reasons and gerrymandering, that is not legal. And I do not stand with it. I do not agree with it. When we look at the House right now, when we're talking about the Texas legislator, when we're looking at the Republicans and how they have everything right now, in just Texas legislator alone in the Senate, we have 20 Republicans and we have 11 Democrats, and we have 88 in the House, but we only have 62 Democrats. And unfortunately, they are banking on getting 5 more seats out of this. If you go back to 2021, we've seen this happen when the Democrats decided that they were going to break quorum, and Greg Abbott decided that he was going to retaliate and try to put out civil warrants for them to come back so they could go ahead and get this done, because the Republicans at the time wanted to go for a bill that was going to restrict voting rights. Unfortunately, we seen back then that not only did that bill get passed, but the redistricting got passed, and we see what has happened since this 2020 census. And if we allow them to pass this again, if we allow them to do this again, we already see what happens. We see what's going on. So instead of sitting here and arguing and bickering about Democrats and Republicans, right now, bipartisan relationships need to be created. Because when we go down there to the Capitol and we're fighting on our constituents' behalf, they're expecting us to give them proper representation. Right now, the Democrats and the Republicans are going to have to come to the round table, and we're going to have to air out the hard things. We're going to have to talk about the hard things, because right now, these politicians do not care about the people, and they have showed us time after time after time again with their actions. Stop paying attention to their words and listen to their actions. This is a political move for the Republicans to take over. I don't know if a lot of you understand how the actual actual legislation process works in Texas, but you only need 100 of the representatives to be right there at the Capitol to even get a bill passed. Right now, we see that they have 88 seats. That is 12 from 100. If this redistricting takes place, they will gain 5 more seats. And if you think they're not going to do this again, they are, until they are literally, the Democrats will be the minority. I'm not going to say that it's going to be impossible, but it is going to be very hard to create bipartisan relationships to where the Democrats and the Republicans can come together and they can say, hey, we need to do this for the better of the people. So I need you right now, even if this.
I think she paused.
No, her time was up. So thank you, Ms. Dominique, for your response and your stance. Rob, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, did you well, first and foremost, did you get Ms. Letitia Plummer's statement out? I did get her statement. Let me check. Okay. First of all, thank you for having this, and for those that are attending and eventually is going to see this. Let me just be clear and factual. The Culture Commission sent out an invitation to all candidates. Mr. Menifee, Ms. Edwards, Ms. Jolanda, so on and so forth, Mr. Isaiah Martin, and then it was a call yesterday where some responded, Ms. Kador and Zoe and Carmen and these candidates on this call, and Mr. Martin as well. And here we are today, and you see who showed up. And maybe they had some more important things to do. Maybe this wasn't their class. Maybe they didn't feel it was important, or maybe they just didn't have the time, and that's fine. I just want to be clear that everybody was extended an opportunity to come into something like this to show a unity and actually move the candidacy aside for a second, and let's educate the facts. But, God is good and things happen for a reason. We want to talk about just some facts. In 2020, 2021, the census had revealed that over the previous 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, over 90% of the growth in Texas was minority driven. That's Black, Latino, and Asian communities. Yet the map that was coming out in 2021 not only minimize those seats and those voices for those congressional districts. In some cases, they all eliminated all of them. We are a majority minority state. And given that said, that there are only 4 or 5 congressional districts in this state, and Greg Abbott is going after 3 of those and a Latino as well, a Latino district. Now, as the candidate Ms. Payne said earlier, that the fact is that gerrymandering for political reasons is actually legal, folks. It's legal. It's not covered by the Constitution. But changing redistricting and gerrymandering for racial or race reasons is unconstitutional. And this is a racial redistricting. And I want us all to be clear and start calling this very clearly forward. And let me break it down to you. Out of the seats in the map that's being put up, all of them are in the minority, when the legislature in the House is majority non-minority. It is an intention with racial districts that is up for the maps. It is designed to put racial barriers, Latino and Blacks, against each other, as we saw earlier from one of the candidates that clearly expressed that individual is forward because of Latino representation, because of racial representation. This is a racial discriminatory map, point blank, period. And due to that, we now have a constitutional crisis where 2 thresholds have been basically just been violated. And I want to share that with you guys. For one, let's start and let's identify that our voting rights of, excuse me, one second. We're looking at our 4th Amendment, and the redistricting plan violates the Equal Protection Clause by intentionally diluting the voting strength of minority population and drawing lines primarily based on race without sufficient justification. Being the fact that we are not in the census mode, but this is a special election and it is racially driven, it now violates our 4th Amendment right. That is a fact. It also violates our 5th Amendment in Section 2 of denying and abridging the right to vote on account of race or color. These maps are being proposed to dilute a minority, primarily Black vote, and by putting them into other communities to where they're not having as a strong voice, but their voice is actually being watered down. And so I agree with all the other candidates that have shown up, and thank you so much. But it's been my point this whole entire time. What can we do as a community? What are the actions that we can do to move forward? I know one of the candidates have called Operation Get Back, Brother Isaiah Martin, where he's encouraging the other blue state Democrats to gerrymander as well. That's his action plan. Some have shared some on here of what their action is. But let me tell you as the community folk what we can do and what we will do. We are forming a community-based led legal team that is putting together a legal memorandum to file on this Monday, to file on an injunction based off of those two clauses that I've just read to you, those two infractions that we can base and we have on record, not only from the state, not only from the federal side, but even from candidates in this race that just had went on record and had admitted that the Republican side can be initiated because of race and Latino increase or whatever the case may be. That is not how we and why we should be redrawing this district. So we're putting together a legal memorandum to get that in court as early as Monday to see if we could file an injunction to stop and to support some of these representatives. And to the representatives that are going to Austin this week and to fight that good fight, good luck. Because there are options that we can do. And I hope that you guys come back with a final win. We have been fighting, but we have to start winning. And I understand that, we're in a minority. But guess what? Our communities have been in a minority. If you can't win in a minority situation environment, how can you represent a minority district in a minority situation? It's ineffective. So you decide to go back to Austin. I pray that you don't come back empty-handed because we're tired of it. Because the reality of it, these maps and this issue was actually on the floor previously. It was in discussions previously. It's just being brought back up. This is not new. And one of the things that we could have done is told the community and everyone about these issues so we could have been prepared for. But once again, we're reacting. Now, last time when the legislature broke quorum, it was very costly. So I understand that it's not as easy to break quorum and who's going to pay fees and for your staff and so on and so forth. But we could raise $1 million in our campaign contribution. We could raise money for every other reason. We need to raise money for these legislatures and these representatives if we're going to ask them to not go to the quorum because their staff have to be paid. We've seen that, we've done it. Let's call to action, maybe do that again. Or let's take legal steps to put this legal memorandum, like we said, we're going to do on Monday. But also we're going to move forward and try to look for a special master to look over these maps and these maps that has been proposed and planned. And you as a community can come together to call your churches and call your leaders and put forth the plan and give it to your representative. Because that's one of the actions as well, that if a representative proposes a plan, it have to be honored and maybe voted on in the House in Austin. So as a community, let's come together. Call your church leaders, your faith-based leaders. We're calling all lawyers, anybody in our legal representation in the community to step forward, and let's step together as a community. Let's learn about these issues. This is serious. We have to come together, but we're not going to wait on our politician system or our this Department of Justice to step forward. So we are putting together legal teams. There's been a lot of law firms that has reached out pro bono to start the legal process on behalf of the community. So I ask that you stay tuned and stay a part of these organizations because we're going to fight the fight. It's not a special session because the special of this session is making us feel not special and it's hurting us. And we have to start doing something right now. So I want to say thank you to all the candidates and everybody that's been a part of this to keep that dialogue going. We want to keep that engagement and to show that unity. For the candidates that didn't come, whatever you're doing and you're on this issue, please tell the community the truth. Put the campaign aside for a second. And if you're raising money, raise some money to do something good for the community once and for all. There are some protests tomorrow that's been put out by the Democratic precinct chairs. I think it's 4 or 5 of them that's around the city, telling the community, please tap into those and be a part and make your voices heard. Look at the actions of these individuals and not their words. But further and furthermore, and I'm asking all candidates that come Monday, we will be putting out these legal briefs and these courses of actions and legal actions by way of the District 18 community. And I'm asking that all of the other candidates sign on or get out the way. And any community leaders and anybody else that want to sign on, it will be made available by Monday. And that's the call to action that the Culture Commission and I first as a candidate for District 18 is signing on board to be a part of and to give you the information straight in. So with that, I yield and thank you so much, Ms. Kimberly, for having me.
I would like to now, Rain would like to give her call to action if that's permissible. But before she does that, I would like to read the statement from Council Member Letitia Plummer on the harms of redistricting. Rights, redistricting in Texas is being used as a political weapon to silence the voices of communities of color. At a time when Black, Latino, and Asian populations have fueled 95% of Texas's growth population, it is unconscionable that Governor Abbott and the state legislator are moving to redraw maps mid-cycle in ways that intentionally weaken the influence of those very communities. These actions create new injustices instead of addressing the Department of Justice's concerns about racial gerrymandering. The redistricting effort doubles down on the same tactics that disenfranchise and marginalize voters. What's at stake here is the ability of historically underserved communities to elect leaders who reflect their lived experiences and fight for their needs. Coalition districts where communities of color came together in shared representation are being targeted and dismantled. This leads to fewer champions for affordable housing, equitable health care, quality education, and investment in our neighborhoods. When we lose representation, we lose the ability to shape the policies that affect our everyday lives. This mid cycle redistricting is about power. The fact that these maps are being redrawn outside the normal census cycle and with open support from national political figures seeking partisan gain makes it clear that this is a deliberate attempt to cement control by silencing those who have historically had the least. It violates the Voting Rights Act and undermines democracy. I urge every Houstonian and every Texan to stand in opposition to this harmful and unjust redistricting effort. We must demand maps that reflect the true makeup of our communities, not ones designated to divide and diminish us. Fair representation is a right, and I will continue to fight to ensure that right is protected for every single resident of this state, regardless of race, background, or zip code. And again, that's a statement that I read from Councilwoman Letitia Plummer. Ms. Eatman, you could go ahead.
Wait, if I'm sorry, that was from Letitia Plummer.
Yes.
I'm good. Yeah. If you can hear me, Letitia, I formally endorse you for your efforts and your election for Harris County judge right now officially. That's how easy it takes. Thank you for standing up and standing for the community in this efforts. Thank you.
Likewise. And
Rain, is that a likewise saying you endorse Councilwoman Letitia Plummer for a Harris County judge?
Yes.
I wanted to be clear. So we have two endorsements. One from Mr. Rob Slade, Miss Rain Eatman, for the endorsement of Councilwoman Letitia Plummer for her seat for county commissioner.
County judge.
County judge.
Put some respect on it. I'm just
judge.
Yes. But if I may, I wanted to just share sentiments with Mr. Robert Slater in that this is a time of action, and I do encourage us strongly to support our legislators that are going into battle on the 21st because they do have an uphill battle. But I do want to give a call to action specifically for constituents of District 18 and how we can get engaged as well. I know fundraising is an opportunity. I also understand that mutual aid is an opportunity as well, but I also want us to start small for those of us who aren't used to donating to campaigns on this level. I would encourage every single person to look up coalitions and organizations that are working to do postcards that are being sent directly to Governor Greg Abbott, so that way you can voice your concerns regarding how you feel about the redistricting and the gerrymandering that is clearly taking effect. As everybody has stated on this call, gerrymandering for racial issues is illegal. but this is the first time that we've seen in a while that it has been done so in such a blatant manner and with disregard to precedent. And so I encourage everybody to look up one specific coalition, We Are CD18. They are working every weekend to write postcards directly to Governor Greg Abbott so that way your voice can be heard. That's actually a tactic that I saw members who were in favor of protecting THC laws in Texas use, and the governor is under obligation to read those comments as well. And I want to believe that that small act of rebellion and resistance was what delayed that vote from being delayed that bill from being signed during the regular legislative session. So if everybody on this call can do so, please look up first and foremost your state representative through We Are who represents me. So that way you can understand who is representing you during this legislative session, and then take the time to look for coalitions that are doing civil actions like write postcards to the governor so that way your voice can be heard. And this is a call to action I want to make specifically to the Harris County, the Texas, and the National Democratic Party. We are at a very, very tenuous shift in our democratic process in general, to where if we continue to operate with business as usual in mind, nothing will change for the benefit of the people and not for the party. In this, we have to rely on the coalitions that we've built on the local, state, and federal level to ensure our most vulnerable legislators can withstand this test and actually get into some good trouble. I am calling for every Democratic state legislature who is able to do so to not show up and break quorum so that way they cannot actually move forward with this bill. And in doing so, that will prove that we are not okay with this business being conducted as usual when we have bad actors at the forefront. And I understand that AG Ken Paxton has already made good on his threats to send out arrest warrants as well as fine individuals $500 a day if they choose to break quorum. But I am calling on the Harris County Democratic Party, the Texas Democratic Party, and the National Democratic Convention to create financial and legal support for our Texas legislatures so that way they can withstand this test of time. We can no longer continue to support these coalitions that are not going to support the people who are literally on the front line. And so if we are going to move forward as in unity, we need to push as hard as we possibly can to break quorum. This is the only way we will send a message to ensure that we are not going to allow things to happen as usual. As long as we continue to play with people who aren't willing to play by the rules, we should not play the game at all. And so that is my call to action for anybody who is listening. If you are actively involved, I suggest you get in contact with your precinct chair, your party leader, and demand that they put some support behind these legislators that are getting ready to go into the fight for our lives, not just theirs, but ours as well. And if we say that we are a part of a coalition, we need to act like a coalition.
And real quick, just kind of add, I'm sorry, Ms. Kim, just some clarity on some things, because some people may be listening and think, okay, that's too far-fetched, that's too rogue to not break quorum, and there's so many other things. Numbers don't lie. It's 88 Republicans in the state Senate, in the House of the Representatives, and 62 Democrats, 20 senators and 20 Republican senators and 11 Democrat. The number's not there. Once again, we're going into a battle that we know we're not going to win just for the sake that we could protest and say we fight. But the reality of it, again, is that a lot of this information, even if we didn't have the maps until recently, has been out there. How do I know? Because I was able to get a hold of a possible map. And I want to share it. We're going to share it in the media. I wish I could bring it up right now. But it's one map that we've been looking at. And I don't hold nothing to the chest, and I think the community should be out there. I think I shared with some of the candidates on here. And one of the maps that I've seen, it goes up to 3rd Ward at the top. It takes 5th Ward and Acres Homes and folds those into 29. But it extends further down south past the Beltway into District 9 into Fort Bend in Missouri County. So basically, District 18 will go further south, but our communities on the north will be molded into 29, into Mrs. Garcia's seat currently right now. Those maps, and if a candidate has those maps, should be released to the public and not just in a town hall forum or in a private candidate setting, but it should be out there to the public right now. If you have access, tell the community as a whole what it is. Go to Isaiah Factor, whatever you need to, but this is the information that needs to be out. So the community can come together and put a community-based map and give it to the representatives, and you go down and represent that. Because we don't know what happened behind closed doors, Republican or Democrat, because some of this may be advantageous to some Democrats. Let's have that conversation. And so transparency and education, and keep telling the community what you want to hear, but your actions have to show something different. And that's the point of today, just being transparent. Because what is also going to happen is that, again, this is a racial redistricting. The Bush Intercontinental Airport is not going to be in District 18 come next March. The funding that comes by way of the airports, the funding that comes by way to the county that Ms. Sheila Jackson Lee was bringing in, the money would not be, the resources would not be as factual because of what that district is made of. Republicans know that, and some Democrats know too, but you need to know that information. And so some of the things that we need to do when you learn how to fight is you got to build those relationships. There's actually some Republicans that's not for this redistricting because it makes their districts more purple if it's not done right. So we should be reaching out to those Republicans to get that support. We should be talking to them right now, find out who they are. And also from a congressional candidate standpoint, to look about what we need to do for the future. We need to put together a possible bill or proposal or legislation that says, you know what, federal funding to the states from will now be based on fair representation, not just allocated to the state and earmarked for whatever, right? So if the districts that you're creating in Texas is not based off of federal representation, fair representation per the Voting Rights Act, then maybe that'll decrease some of the funding that Texas get and get these Republicans to think a little bit different. There's mechanisms that we can do today, tomorrow, and in the near future. And so we want to continue those conversations to educate the community. But let me just be clear. The savior's not coming. We have to save ourselves, and we got us. So we're going to start looking at some legal professionals, a lot of community leaders, retired lawyers, and people that has been in the legislature, and bring a coalition together to represent the community and set the model. And here in District 18, just like we sent Miss Barbara Jordan and made history, community gonna fight back this round. And if our protesters will go to jail and lose jobs and money, but behind George Floyd, if our protesters can stand up against ICE, then our political officials should be scared to get in a little trouble and go to a little good jail for a few good days. Let's stop playing and talking about it. Put some action behind it. Don't go. Don't go. That's all I got.
Okay, I want to give each person final thoughts. We're going to start with Miss Dominique since she's back. We're going to get final thoughts, and we're going to go to Rain Eatman after Miss Dominique, and then we're going to let Mr. Rob Slater wrap us up.
I think you're on mute. Are you muted, Miss Rain?
No, it's Dominique, but
oh, Dominique, I'm sorry.
Looks like she dropped off.
All right, go, Miss Rain.
I hate that she dropped off because I know she was really going to say something great, but I really want to thank everyone who engaged in this conversation, from everyone in the chat to everyone who was able to attend this call. And I also want to give another big shout out to the Culture Commission Coalition, because conversations like these are very important, and educating and being honest in our education is definitely something we should posture more and model more if we are going to combat all of the attacks that are coming down on the everyday citizen. My call to action is simple. For the constituents of District 18, now is the time to make your voices heard. There are organizations like We Are CD18 that meet every weekend to write postcards to Governor Greg Abbott, demanding that he removes this item from the special session agenda. And I encourage you to connect with those organizations, either myself or Houston Justice, to learn how you can send your own postcard so that Governor Abbott can actually know where you stand on this issue personally. I stand by what I said when it comes to the Democratic Party. On all levels, they need to show that they are in support of all Democrats in this fight. And if we are going to take our hands off while bad actors are controlling the narrative, then we are not going to get any further in this conversation, and we are not going to support the Texans that are in dire need of support. And so I'm calling We have 88 Republicans in office right now. In order to make quorum, they need to have 100 out of 150 members to attend. They also need 21 out of 31 Senate members to attend in order to conduct business. I am asking for every single Democratic member to stand with the community and not show up. And I am also begging the Democratic parties on all levels to find some form of resource financially and for attorney legal issues to protect these legislators as they continue to get into good trouble. The time is now to demand more from the coalition to protect them who are actually trying to fight for us. If our precinct chairs and our party leaders can move forward with this, we can actually have a good strategy to at least delay this fight until we are in a better position to actually swing back. If not, our entire district will drown because once again, we are playing a game with bad actors. And instead of keeping the game moving forward, we need to work together to make sure we stop the game full stop. Thank you once again for your time. Please look up We Are CD18. Write your governor. Demand that this item be removed from the special session. And let's continue to put pressure on the system to make sure they represent the needs of us, the people, not their own political agenda. Thank you all so much.
Ms. Dominique is back with us. We apologize for any technical difficulties that she may be experiencing. Go ahead, Ms. Dominique.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Right now, this is a call to action to the entire state of Texas right now. You see what's going on. You may not be directly impacted by this redistricting that is going on, but you see exactly how the lawmakers are playing, and they're not playing fair. So I'm urging you right now, this is not the time to sit down and be quiet, because if you are going to sit down and be quiet, you are automatically siding with the oppressors. And what's going on right now, we have to stand up as the constituents, as the voters, as the people of Texas. We need to petition Greg Abbott, and you need to let him know that you do not stand for this. In the Republican districts, I'm asking for the constituents to please contact your lawmakers, contact your state representatives, and let them know, hey, I do not stand for this, and push them to not go in favor of this redistricting, because everybody deserves proper representation. But right now we see that the Republicans are wanting to take control of everything to fit their narrative, and we as the people cannot continue to do that. We have to do our part, and when it comes time to vote, if this is not going how you want it, you make sure that you get out at those ballots and your voice is heard. And I yield. Thank you.
We'll have final thoughts and closing out by Mr. Rob Slater.
It's just real simple, folks. I think Miss Kim and give credit to Life Touch Org and the Diaspora Central for being a part of this. And then next week, I think another one is going to happen for the community to join in, and that will be all about what's next. And then it'll be more legal experts and some scholars and some lawyers that we're going to get on here to tell the community how and what they could do. I can't speak. I'm not an elected representative, and I'm not even a lawyer, but I'm just a good common gentleman and advocate that got common damn sense. And I implore all of us to start using our common sense and not our popularity measure or our frat brother sorority system measure. And let's really start asking the questions that need to be asked. How do we keep getting here? How are we not prepared and ready for what's to come when history keeps repeating itself every single day? And a point as a leader is to not only educate you, but to prepare you and prevent the problems that keep on persisting. And we have to get into that mindset and start demanding that from our leaders. And so as a community, we have to depend on us because we keep fighting in the political realm and keep on losing. We have to start winning. And every time we've won in history was when the community rose for civil action and engagement and created a movement that got over the politics instead of politics being over this type of leadership. So with that being said, we want to stick to the facts of the legal of the law. This is a racial redistricting. It's been said on media, it's been said on news, and it's been said by Republican candidates themselves. It's based off of race. And I want to reach out to the Latino community because the Latino community has increased, but it also is underrepresented, just like the African Americans. But instead of putting us in a bucket for us to fight. We don't have to put on a gladiator show for the powers that be. We have to come together and to figure this out off of fact and base and create maps and understanding and education so we won't start going at each other. We saw that with the education bill. What divides us is what destroys us. But when we unite, any system that comes together could bring down any system. We just need leadership and individuals that's going to step up, fade all the smoke, and make that happen. And I'm asking any and everybody, regardless of who you vote for, to join me in that effort, because that is what is paramount to winning an election. And so we have to start thinking from that on. From a legal standpoint, racial redistricting, it violates our Voting Rights Act of Section 2. It is also a violation of the 15th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. It's no cause and no just. And let's also be clear that the petty president wants to get back at Ms. Jasmine Crockett and get back at Mr. Al Green for standing up. Basically said it. Basically told Texas just to create 5 more seats, and then Abbott decided to go off of the racially motivated districts. And that's just that. But we could talk about and protest and plan, but the problem is we have to get together on our legal system. We're not waiting on the Department of Justice. We're not waiting on the Democratic Party of Harris County, the Democratic Party of Texas. We are putting together based off of the community, and we got us. And all you guys got to do is tap in and join us and watch us show everyone how to get this done, because that's what leadership is. And with that, I thank everybody for their time. And I look forward to seeing you back here next week, or engage you throughout the week, and engage any other candidates. I hope we got some that will come back. And it's not just in the congressional race, it's for any race, anybody that's seeking to run for office. But it's different than when you're running for office. And this is the experience that, certain candidates don't have. But maybe that's the experience of not being blighted by a losing record that's needed to start winning again. So with that, I yield. Thank you for your time. Did Ms. Kimberly get off? Everybody falling like flies. Well, I guess with that, I'll take over as host.
She's still in the room. I think she's just muted.
She's just muted. Are you muted, Ms. Kim? All right. Well, until she comes back, there she goes.
Oh, there she goes.
You're on mute. Anybody want to join the fight? You go to info@culturecommission.org. That's culturecommission.org.
Well, I thank everybody for joining in, all of the candidates that joined. Mr. Slater at the Culture Commission, Life Touching Diaspora Central, for agreeing to show up and moderate this conversation. I look forward to the engagement and the comments that you're making during this presentation and thereafter. I look forward to us all participating in an equitable action plan where we can come together, not just for today, for this moment, but as Mr. Slater said, for the future, because our future, it depends on what we do today. So we appreciate you guys for joining. Thank you for your time, your efforts, and your labor of love. See you next time.
Thank you. And if anybody want to hang back in the chat for a second, I know some people want some contact information on joining. If you want to stand back, we definitely could address that. And I'm putting in some chats right now. Okay. You could contact info@culturecommission.org. Info@culturecommission.org. My telephone number is 713-213-1424. That's 713-213-1424. Miss Rain, did you want to shout out your org again, or the advocacy group you were speaking of?
Yes. So let me do this. The advocacy group I was speaking of is called Houston Justice. You're going to look up houstonjustice.org. The coalition I was mentioning is called We Are CD18. If you look that coalition up, they have a couple of movements moving forward. And there's also, like Brother Rob announced earlier, there will be a series of protests happening this weekend across District 18, District 9, and District 29 as well. Please follow the Harris County Democratic Party page to get more information on that. They're all starting at 10 a.m. The one I will be attending will be at the Kroger on 43rd and Ella. So if you want to join me in a day of civil action, that's going to be tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the Kroger 43rd and Ella. We are CD18. Let's get some action moving for our community.
All right. All right, good deal. And tell your representative, don't come back from Austin empty-handed. If you come back empty-handed, don't come back at all. Ineffective leadership is ineffective. It's defective. If you're ineffective, then defect, respectfully. I yield. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate it. Till next time.